Stalked on MySpace. I came to this subreddit thinking I didn't have a story to share. There are some really scary stories about on this subreddit. This one isn't scary, but was definitely life-changing, and I'll never forget it. It was spring of 2009, and I was in my last year of college. I was single, and very involved on my college campus. To frame this story, I had a few times where folks would walk up to me, and I wouldn't remember them. We met at a party the weekend before, or whatever like that. It happened at least once before this encounter. So, in 2009, Facebook was still pretty new. While MySpace had been a thing for like 4 or 5 years, I still had my MySpace and liked it at the time. I would later close it after this instance. I was pretty cautious about strangers looking at my shit and my pictures. One day a girl popped up in my friend requests. She did not look familiar, and her profile was very private, so I couldn't tell where she was from or anything like that. She was petite, and her default photo happened to be a picture of her, sitting in the sand, on a beach I recognized, because it was the beach from my hometown. She tried to add me a few times. I declined each time. Finally, in my friendly college socialite way, I asked in a private message, "Do I know you?" And she said, "Oh yeah, we had a class together last semester," and proceeded to tell me shit about how she knew me. This should have been a first red flag, but I blatantly ignored it. My school was on the quarter system, not the semester system. She was also 5 years older than me. This isn't a huge deal, but when I look back, I wish I had been more aware. The girl commented on something stupid I had written or posted, and gave me her phone number. I think we exchanged numbers, but I definitely remember her number coming in first, after exchanging a few messages. She invited me to hang out with her friends. My first real mistake. I shouldn't have done that. My intuition was going crazy that night. I won't get specific, but I ignored all the red flags that were in front of me. I continued to hang out with the girl, excited to have a new female friend. I got kinda close to this girl over the course of the next 2 weeks. She was easy to talk to, and she was fun. To make a long story short, she pretended to discover that we had dated the same guy. This girl was an actress, let me tell you. Now that I look back on it, she may have been mirroring my reactions. I was shocked and flabbergasted, but believed her story, that she had seen me before and requested my friendship on MySpace genuinely. But then, another strange thing happened. An ex-boyfriend of mine called me, shocked and confused, about how he had gotten my new number. He had a warning for me. The girl was not who I thought she was. This girl dated and stalked my ex-boyfriend after I had been with him. He had dove into her MySpace account, suspicious of questions she had been asking him about me, which is where he found my number. Crazy girl had friended me to find out more about me and to bond with him. She also confirmed she never went to my school. She went to another local university, hence the semester system red flag. Camera phones were still new, and she had taken unauthorized videos of me chatting with some people who were there that night. She lied to my ex and said I showed up at a party she was at, and showed him the videos as well. The nights I'd hung out with her and her friends, everyone there already knew me. They knew who my boyfriend was, and they knew that the girl had contacted me. They were all under strict orders not to say anything about it to me. When she was finally called out, my ex made her text me confessing what she had done. I think he was pretty much done with her at that point. She wrote a message stating she knew who I was when she had added me on social media, and that she actually ended up liking me and wanted me as a real friend. I wasted a good 2 weeks texting and befriending this girl. Now, I'm embarrassed at how naive I was. I felt sick at how everyone already knew me, and I felt scammed. I felt like my kindness was taken as a weakness. Like I said, I was a social college student who just liked meeting new people. This definitely caused me to be more on high alert with strange shit for the rest of my 20s. A few more crazy things happened after that. The whole thing ended pretty dirty. She, at the very least, was a habitual liar. 1 year later, almost exactly to the day, the girl messaged me on Facebook again, wishing me well, and hoping to be friends again. I had since learned my lessons about MySpace. I ignored her messages. Years later, in 2015, I found a local article stating crazy girl had been arrested for corporal injury to a spouse. I have attached the image and blocked the names and the locations. So, crazy girl. I hope we never meet again. Never giving out my Instagram handle again. Yesterday, I was at a local coffee shop to study for an exam. I was sitting at a long table, and at some point, a guy asked if he can sit on the other end. He's working on his computer, and some point asked me what I'm studying for. He leaves to take a smoke break, and when he comes back, he asked me if I liked his blog post. I have no idea what he's talking about, so I put on my glasses to read the title. Basic White Bitches. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, and go back to my studying. When I pack up to leave, he asked me for my Instagram handle. I don't think much of it. I live in a friendly neighborhood, so I told him and left. About an hour later, I see that he added me, and look at his WordPress blog that's linked into his bio. His most recent post was titled, "The White Girl at the Coffee Shop," describing how he believes that I got onto his computer, scrolled down to read his blog post on how he hates white women, and then lied about it. I commented on the blog, saying that I didn't touch his computer, then I blocked him on Instagram. Not too worried about it since I don't frequent that coffee joint, and seemed like some one weird-off encounter. Today, I find an email in my inbox from the guy. Guess he got my email from the comment I made. You didn't have to tell me your Instagram username if you were uncomfortable. I was just being friendly. But blocking me after giving me your username? That's just petty. And I'm definitely not interested or attracted to you. I have a girlfriend, so I see no reason for you to feel so uncomfortable like this. Am I not wrong? So, who did snoop on my laptop anyways? Surely you saw who did it. You were sitting 5 feet away. After I followed you, what made you click on my link to get on my blog, if you knew nothing about it? I never clicked on a WordPress link. Everyone hates random people's blogs. You wouldn't have clicked on it if you already know where it was going. I'm not even interested in this topic anymore. I'm bored. I just like to drag things on for the hell of it. You can keep trying to cover it up, but you know how people work. I'm not even mad. I'm just slightly entertained that you are persistent in your lies. Anyways, I'm gonna dip out of here. Don't want to make you uncomfortable or anything. My advice to you is don't give out your Instagram username if you're just gonna fucking block them. Wasting my time and yours. Millennials are too fucking shy, and I'm here to make a difference. No kid my age will open their mouth to a random stranger, so I have to take up the slack of everyone my age. Later, I'm bored as fuck. Name. Don't at me. I hate everything. Illuminati Tinder weirdo. For clarity, I am a straight 21-year-old female. So in the November of 2016, I went through a pretty bad breakup. In October 2017, I finally felt comfortable enough to try to get back into the dating world. So like a moron, I got on Tinder, and it wasn't my first rodeo with Tinder, but this was the strangest thing that happened to me. So, towards the end of October, I met a guy named Dave on Tinder, and from the looks of it, he was an okay guy. He was funny and a gentleman. Didn't ask for anything inappropriate, it seemed fine. We talked for about 2 weeks and set up a time to go on a date. We decided to meet in the city where he had recently moved to, which was about 35 minutes away from my house. I got to the bar to wait for him and he was 15 minutes late. He walked in and looked relatively similar to his pictures, which I was happy about. And then he opened his mouth to talk and had a very strange voice. Like he was always on the verge of crying, very weird. He had some tattoos on his arm, including the all-seeing eye Illuminati symbol. Trying to break the tension, I jokingly said, "Illuminati confirmed, tell me all your secrets." And he goes, "What the hell are you talking about? Don't say that kind of stuff in public." I just kind of laughed it off, and he was being real weird. He then says, "You know that people who cry are people who die." I just looked at him, and I genuinely did not know how to respond. Fast forward about 20 minutes, and a couple of my friends came to the bar at my urging. I moved to sit on the same side as him, so that my friends could sit on the same side of the booth. The minute I sit down, he puts his hand on my knee and squeezes. And not like, "Oh, I'm interested," but a fucking hard squeeze. I looked at him to stop, and he leans over and whispers, "You have lovely kneecaps." Like, boy, what? By the time my friends left, which was about an hour into the date, he had 7 beers. It was a Tuesday. As I got to go close my tab, he stands behind me and he had a boner, full mast. Boner! I very quickly signed my receipt and stepped away. As I was ready to say goodbye, it starts raining, and then he informs me that he walked to the bar from his house and asked for a ride home. Reluctantly, I agreed, and on a very short drive to his house, he informs me that it's not actually his house, and that he is living in his sister's basement. When I finally park in front of his house, he leans over to kiss me, and I tried to give him the cheek, and he physically turns my head and puts his entire tongue into my mouth. As I pulled away and this guy did it again, I finally pulled away and said, "Get the fuck out of my car." And he responds with, "I'm in love with you. I knew from the moment I saw your pictures. You have to come inside and meet my sister and her husband." I told him that if he didn't get out of my car, I was calling the police. And he started tearing up and got out of my car. So, weird, boner, Illuminati guy. Let's not meet. Nutty. This is ongoing. I'll update as it progresses. As I've mentioned in a previous post, I tend to be verbally aggressive, confrontational, and basically, I don't shy away from a fight if I feel the person has wronged me somehow. I've yet to get into an actual physical situation, so I digress. I doubt I'll do well in an actual fight. My bravado itself usually seems to scare people off. I've also mentioned in passing my sexuality, which is garnered towards the same sex, female, if you have to know. Dating hasn't always been my thing. In fact, I've gone on the most dates this last year, out of my 2 short decades of existence. I met this one girl on OkCupid, and before you start thinking, no, it doesn't go awry, we actually hit it off on our first date, and ended up spending an extra few hours together before I went home. And we then end up going on 2 more, so needless to say, I am no longer a fish available to catch. For a little more context before I get into this, I don't live in the city where this takes place. Well, I do live there for 8 months at a time. I am a university student, and in some Facebook photos, there's evidence of my school's logo. My girlfriend, M for this story, had a daughter with her boyfriend, but he's no longer in a relationship with her. So, she's a single mom living in an apartment complex in the middle of the city, is what we're going to establish. And while this story affected her the most, it's now affecting me too. Nutty is who this story is about, and my nickname for her, an overall description of this girl. You see, Nutty and M worked together at a Wendy's a year prior to meeting me. M always had a thing for girls who were quirky and a little alternative. She's also got a big heart. So when Nutty asked her out, she couldn't turn her down. Before the warning signs appeared, Nutty is mentally unstable, and while I get that in hell, I know where she's coming from. It's not an excuse for the actions I'm about to describe. She's also refused any sort of therapy or assistance, and her family has decided to not help her. So you've got a non-medicated, undiagnosed ball of mania that you're dating essentially. Now what could possibly go wrong with that? Warning sign number 1. Nutty mentions that she wishes M's ex-boyfriend was dead. It's one of those, well okay then thing you can normally brush aside. When you can't is when someone starts saying it over and over. M's ex wasn't abusive. He's actually a really great guy by conversation. The whole reason they broke up was because she figured out she liked girls. So Nutty continuously says, "I want to kill him," and things revolving about that train of thought. Warning sign number 2. Nutty is pushy and aggressive. Where I'm aggressive is that if I think someone has done myself or another person an injustice, I'm quick to respond verbally or with a short charge at them. Where Nutty is aggressive is that she got very upset if she didn't get her way exactly, or was quick to become threatening of a person. She continuously pushed M to hang out, to come over, to go on a date, or even have sex. She wouldn't stop until she got her way, not caring about her girlfriend didn't always want to do those things or hang out with her. Which brings me to warning sign number 3. Nutty is clingy. She would call M at all hours to do one or more, messaged her on Facebook, and basically stalked her social medias to see what she was up to. She didn't like M going on things without her, getting mad and insulting M's friends and family. The two major events that led up to their breakup shows also how messed up Nutty actually is. Nutty tricked M's daughter into telling her when her mother was home this one time she called. M was in the shower, her daughter answered it, and because she knew Nutty, she told the stalker exactly where her mom was, so Nutty shows up, come into M's apartment, lying and saying she forgot something there. When she and M were alone, Nutty proceeded to attack M, and she didn't beat her if you catch my drift. Of course, the cops in our city don't get it yet. That sexual assault perpetrated by a woman against a woman is actually feasible, but so guess what? Nothing was done. The boneheaded morons decided to just charge Nutty for trespassing and she got a fine. I, for one, no longer trust the police after learning this fact. Event number 2 occurred after, when M of course broke up with her. Nutty went ballistic. She threatened to kill herself, and it would be M's fault. She took a video of herself swallowing a ton of sleeping pills and sent it to M, claiming it was her fault she was doing this. M, of course, called the cops, but yes, you guessed it, nothing. They honestly didn't take that seriously either. It's appalling what law enforcement thinks is necessary around there. In all honesty, I think they're mostly corrupted. Nonetheless, Nutty didn't kill herself. She threw up the pills apparently after taking the video, and then waited until the next day. She then contacted M, pretending to be her mother, and told M that she was to blame for her daughter's death. Well, needless to say, M didn't buy it for a minute. She called on Nutty's bullshit, and Nutty came clean. Promptly afterwards, M blocked her on everything, and quit her job at Wendy's. 6 months later, after a new position at a Starbucks, and decided to try dating one more time, we met, which brings me full circle to recent events. I'm away from the city, in a small town I'm originally from, working my butt off so I can at least afford her groceries for the next 8 months, in which I'll be an unemployed student. Em and I have been in contact the last 4, chatting and planning out a big date for the weekend I get back. Em contacted me out of the blue after a couple days of radio silence. She told me that Nutty had come into her work when she wasn't around, asking another employee about her. She figured out where Em was working, and claimed to be an old friend. The dumbass babbled, telling Nutty all about Em and yup, me. So Nutty is pissed off. She gets a new number and account contacting Em and threatening to cut me if she sees me. Nutty also found my Facebook and now knows where I'm going to university, due to me also being a dumbass and leaving the photos with my university's logo up. I got a threatening message 2 days ago, saying that when I'm found, I'm going to pay for messing with what's hers. The silver lining in all this is that she thankfully doesn't know where I live. I've actually kept that off of my profile. I also don't link any of my other social media platforms to my Facebook, so she has no other way of cyber stalking me. I just blocked her on Facebook after getting that message. The bad news is that she knows where I'm going to school, and that I live in the dorms. Em is worried about me. She isn't sure if Nutty would actually be bold enough to come onto the campus to try and actually find me. Reading all of your stories and listening to narrations of them has inspired me to take the next steps. As soon as move-in day arrives and I'm back in the city, I'll tell the university what's going on. I'll make sure my new dormitory mates know who Nutty is, and to not answer our security door for anyone who asks for me there. Since concealed weapons like pepper spray and knives aren't allowed, I'll keep my alarm box on me. Em is also taking precautions. What those are, I'm not going to say right now, because in reality, I still have a month to go before I move back. I'll update if Nutty ever shows up. Wish me luck. For now, I really hope we don't meet. Update. On mobile, so it may come off as a little bit jumbled. But I got a weird message on Facebook. It belonged to an empty profile with a generic name, and it detailed my university's campus and the name of the woman's dorm, okay? Now I have a reason to be concerned, right? I blocked the user, but archived the message. I'm not waiting to contact the RC. We'll keep you all posted.